The Dale Show.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. As you can see, Jeff is back. You know what that means. You know what that means.
What does that mean?
That means reptilian aliens on the moon.
Fuck yes. Reptilian aliens
moon.
on the moon. I am in. I'm into this.
So I suggest to everybody who's just popping in to listen to Tug Boat Moon as a primer for this, because we cover all the evidence that is 100% true and not at all fake. That
not at all fake.
Moon is a spaceship. More specifically, it's a tugboat, because
tugging on the earth.
In that episode, I said that the moon tugboats Earth so it stays in the prime living conditions. Otherwise, we'd all die. But in this episode, I tell you who's driving that tugboat. Who drove that tugboat to our solar system?
The reptilians.
And guess what? It's not a tugboat to save the moon. It is an evil spaceship relay station to keep us all sad and angry.
Oh man, that is juicy.
Oh yeah. So I got to give some, because I was like, I will just read David Icke's Moon Matrix theory. And then I was like, I hate the Matrix part of everything, because every time someone's like, we're in a simulation, I'm like, that's just a cop out. So you could stop thinking about it. It's just like flat Earth. It's like, well, the Earth is flat, so somebody made it flat. Like, flat earthers are never like, the Earth is flat. You're like, okay, what if the Earth is flat? Then who made the Earth flat? They're like, NASA. And you're like, okay, so the people who live on the flat Earth made the flat Earth? That makes no sense.
Yeah. And NASA's like, what? It was invented in what, the 1940s or something? Or
yeah.
50s?
So
there's nothing pre-existing before that.
Yeah. So my point is, I'm making this not about the Matrix part. Oh, I got a baby interruption. I got a baby interruption. This might turn out to be difficult.
Okay.
But anyways, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting my baby on the podcast. All of you who got all excited, because I mean, I wouldn't care if she was on the podcast, but Andrea is dead set against it. But she is very cute, and people would definitely abduct her if they saw her face.
Definitely. Yeah.
And they're like, I'm driving to Dale's house right now and stealing his baby, because
you call the Earth flat or I keep your baby.
Yeah, he's like, has the best sperm ever. The proof is my baby and how cute she is.
Yeah.
And
babies are just sex trophies. They're just the proof that you did the sex one time.
Yeah, there you go. I have had one hot load.
one active load, if you will.
Counting. No, I'm not.
You're not counting.
Squash those rumors. Okay, so
I only had one active load. I'm good. That's all I needed to prove that I could.
One load buddies.
Sex trophy. Yeah, load buddies.
Single load dudes.
We were load buddies long before this ever happened.
Before I was so rudely interrupted by my
baby,
beautiful baby who just wants to spend time with her father, and I feel like I'm neglecting her.
Yeah, I feel like I get to be pretty lucky because I get to spend some time with you.
Yeah, there you go. So I was saying, what I was saying was, I forgot that word. I don't want to talk about David. I want to talk about David Icke.
Yeah,
because he has a pretty good idea, but I'm not going to have the Matrix part of his moon theory. So I'm just going to have the whole thing. So
because as you were saying, people are with the whole Matrix thing, it's just like, it's a cop out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you only have to like think about stuff to a certain level, and then you're just like, well, that's it. It's just like old time Christianity, where you're like, well, God made everything, and you're not like, well, where did God come from? What's up with that? They're just like, well, that's where I have to stop.
That's what happened. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, that's where I have to stop you. And now we're going to change the subject.
Yeah, it's a tiny
give you a weird blank stare.
It's a tiny little endpoint, and it's like the Big Bang theory too, because it's like, everything started with the Big Bang. That's it.
Before
I don't have to think past before. Exactly. Yeah. What was before then? The true answer is
little bangs, little tiny bangs.
Mm-hmm. Nope, there was only ever one single bang, just like our fatherhoods.
Just like our fatherhood. One single bang, all we needed to do.
So, good news, bad news. I have a fuck ton of notes. Bad news
Okay.
is that some of them are in point form, but I went
Uh-oh.
through and kind of edited it so that when I read it, I don't sound like I'm dumb.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fair.
but before we get right into David Icke's moon theory, let's take a step back because I was listening to this podcast called Mysterious Universe. Everybody should check it out. It's great because they basically find the most obscure, crazy, paranormal, high weirdness, UFO books by like crazy authors, and they read them. And in one of those books, I can't remember what it was, but they're talking about a black supremacist who was saying, I don't know, I feel uncomfortable explaining what black supremacy is. If anybody's in, oh, we talked about it on the
Couldn't you like
we
sum
talked
it
about
up?
it on the Ye episode, the Kanye episode.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that
Yeah, so we
like
talked
Malcolm
about it.
X kind of stuff? Not the Malcolm X
Yeah, no,
specifically, but
it's
no,
like
it's like something. Yeah.
some Black Panthers and some other people. But
Yes.
anyways, go listen to that. I don't want to have to explain it
It
again.
doesn't want to have to explain it again.
I barely dodged going to racism jail by just saying the words black supremacist. So the less I talk about it, the better. But
Going
anyways,
to racism jail. Uh-oh.
he was talking
Okay.
about because he was saying how like he was talking about how all NASA and space stuff is like basically white supremacy, and it's there's like a weird because he was saying like aliens are black. Anyway, I didn't want to get into it, anyways. But he said Apollo 13 had a nuke on board
Oh,
to
I read
go
about this
blow
just
up
recently.
aliens on the
Oh,
moon,
I did
but it
read about
didn't
this.
make it because of a suspicious oxygen tank explosion.
I
I
didn't read about
released,
I heard your TikTok about this.
yeah,
That's where I heard this before.
I made a TikTok about this, and then people were like, "Oh man, I can't wait to listen to that episode." And then over a month later, when I finally get around to recording that episode, here it is. So I was like, that is absolutely bad shit. Like, because that movie, Apollo 13, that's what
Hmm.
they're talking about. Like, how Tom Hanks was on a spaceship and it was like the most boring movie ever. And then all of a sudden, their oxygen tank blew up. This guy was saying that it was aliens. And I was like, that's dumb. But it's not that asinine a theory because for like Apollo 13 to go nuke the moon, not be and I was like, what? That's ridiculous. So I get on my Googles and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
was there plutonium on Apollo 13? And apparently there was.
So
There was
I don't want to shit all over your theory, but there probably
yeah.
was plutonium on board. That's how like they power things.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like there was
I was just
3.9.
gonna say, like, plutonium's an energy source.
Yeah.
There's probably, if not trace amounts, larger amounts of plutonium on board to power some of the
Oh,
systems.
remember last episode when we were talking about the nuclear measuring instruments that are on the moon, how they have 6 stations?
Yes, yeah.
That's what this plutonium was for. They
Gotcha.
were going to go
They're gonna
set up
test
another
it.
one. But I just wanted to point out that even though Apollo 13 wasn't going to go nuke the moon,
Technically, it could
theoretically,
have.
they had stuff they could have made a nuclear bomb with on Apollo 13.
I
They
see. I
had
see.
3.9 kilograms of plutonium 238.
That's almost
Now,
two full Kraft peanut butter jars worth.
yeah.
That's how I measure things.
And
2 kilograms is a Kraft peanut butter jar.
yeah.
I love peanut butter.
And the plutonium was supposed to fuel the system for nuclear auxiliary power, or SNAP 27, radioisotope thermoelectric generator, RTG, designed to power a set of experiments on the lunar surface. So that's like their stations that, like I
Yeah.
was talking about before, they measure moon quakes and the shifting and all this stuff. And basically, they send up these stations that record stuff so it's easier to land other missions on there, but they stopped going. Maybe because of the reptilian
Because of the reptilian. Yeah.
aliens.
There's a reason why it's spooky up there.
Yeah. Okay. And then I was like, well, how much plutonium do you need to make a bomb? You only need 1 to 2 kilograms of plutonium to make a 2 kiloton nuclear bomb. Now, for reference, I said that Apollo 13 had 3.9 kilograms of plutonium on it.
Yeah.
Well, Fat Man, the bomb that they dropped on Nagasaki,
I thought you were
had
calling me
six
names.
it had 6.2 kilograms on it.
Holy shit.
So
Okay. Yeah.
the
So it's
bomb
not
that they
that,
blew up
it's like half.
Nagasaki with, yeah, it's just over half.
Yeah.
But now my history isn't up to snuff. The one they dropped on Hiroshima was made with uh Oh my God, I just forgot
Do you
this
want me to
word.
look it up?
No, it's the other one. There's plutonium and depleted
Uranium.
uranium. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one they dropped on Hiroshima was made with uranium, depleted uranium, and the one they
Yes.
dropped on Nagasaki was made with plutonium. So plutonium is a smaller nuclear bomb. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm talking about bombs because when I saw that and I was like, gosh darn, what if there's aliens on the moon? And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. David Icke talks about aliens on the moon. And then I was like, mind racing. And so I was like, I'm going to do some research. And I don't read books
Yeah.
because who has time?
No one has
So
time.
I listen to podcasts and I listened to Conspiracy or Just a Coincidence, an episode from January 28th, 2020. And he was talking about David Icke's moon matrix theory. And I'm going to talk about what he was talking. Okay. So we're going to go with the reptilians, how they set up the moon, but his whole thing was the end point was they beam a signal to the earth and we're all in the matrix and we're like in pods or whatever. I'm skipping that part, but I'm going to keep all the reptilians making us feel bad.
Okay, good.
Are you okay
Okay.
with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That sounds good.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So Saturn used to be okay. Now the problem with this podcast is I had to dance around a minefield of rabbit holes because
Okay.
it started talking about Saturn and Saturn worship, and that is
Different.
probably one of the top 5 biggest conspiracy theories like canon to get into because it is huge. It like touches everything.
Okay.
But we have to borrow pieces of it. So I'm going to talk about pieces of it without trying to get too in depth about it. So all you fucking Saturn head worshippers or Saturn worshiper heads, black cube guys, I'm
Black
sorry.
cubes.
I'm not going all the way into it, but I'm going to touch on it. So one belief is Saturn used to be our second sun. It was way bigger than it is now, and it had no rings. And if you've ever heard of like the golden age or the purple haze,
Yeah.
like apparently it gave off purple light. And okay, so I'm just going to start reading through my
You're just
notes.
going through this. Okay. Yeah. Do
Otherwise,
hit the
I'll
notes.
just
You
remember
get
stuff and hop
off
around.
topic so
Yeah,
fast.
I won't get off topic, but I'll
No,
jump around and then I'll
but
lose my place.
yeah. So if you have notes, follow the notes. Then
Mm-hmm.
that way they're at least in line, right? Then you can
Mm-hmm.
hit it properly. You ready to go?
Feel free to stop me at any point.
Okay. If I
And
don't
if I'm
understand something, I'll let you know, or I'll
yeah, and if I'm
figure
going
it
to
out.
explain it later, I'll just be like, tut tut tut, Jeff. I will get to that in the
Tut tut
most
tut.
condescending voice I have.
That's my boy. All right, let's
All
go.
right. So right now, Saturn is still a gas giant made up of mostly hydrogen and helium and some other volatiles, which are just chemical compounds that can be easily vaporized. So basically, that would be like oxygen or anything. It's like a chemical that can make a spark. So it could be the trigger. So my whole theory on this is Saturn seems like it went out. But anyways,
Okay.
so Saturn is 9.5 times the size of Earth with 1/8 the density of Earth. It has different layers of gaseous, then liquid, and at its core, a mixture of rock and hydrogen metals. Saturn has a hot interior reaching 11,700 degrees Celsius at its core and radiates 2.5 times more energy into space than it receives from the sun. So Saturn is giving off heat still, even though it's out. So yeah,
Okay.
this is caused by the evaporation of rain of the hydrogen. The gravity pulls in the gas, and as it falls towards the planet, it solidifies, and then I don't know, frictions each other and gets warm. This is the scientific explanation of why
Frictions each
Saturn's
other.
hot.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
saying that the like hydrogen condensing into metal, and as you condense something and it turns into metal, it like gives off heat.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
And that's why, and so when you have like propane and you turn it from liquid to solid, it sucks in heat. That's why it's
Yes.
cold.
Yeah.
So this is just the opposite. They're saying that's what the heat comes from.
Okay. That makes sense. It's a
And they're
thermal
saying
reaction.
that there's even been reports of diamond rain
Okay.
of like hydrogen
I've
turning into metal and
I've
then
definitely
falling.
heard of that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So my theory is, like I said before, Saturn was a second sun to us, but it went out. Now, your first question should be, Dale, why did Saturn go out? And I'll tell you. And this is they don't David Icke doesn't talk about this. He just talks about what happened. But here's another example of how Tugboat Moon, driven by reptilian aliens, could have fucked some shit up.
Okay.
So Jupiter came in too close and its gravity ripped away a large portion of the hydrogen from Jupiter, basically.
Question.
Yes.
How did Jupiter get close? Orbits are a thing.
The Tugboat Moon pulled
Oh,
it
okay.
in
All right. Okay.
close, Jeff. They
Sorry.
don't, in my defense of my dumb Tugboat Moon theory, which isn't dumb and it's totally
Yeah.
true,
It's totally 100% accurate.
they don't explain what happened. They're just like,
Okay. They're
well, I
just
don't know.
Tugboat Moon happened. That's
Yeah,
just
they're
what.
like
Okay.
the like
So
orbit became unstable for some reason.
this is a
And
question
then
from last podcast. Then why are all the planets attached to the tugboat, or only Earth?
no, just Earth is being tugboated right now.
Yeah.
So the tugboat on its way to Earth, seeing what Earth was, seeing that it was full of people
Gotcha.
living
Put it
their
to the
best
optimal area.
life in the golden age on an Earth that doesn't have seasons because the axis wasn't tilted yet.
Right.
And so what the theory is, I think this is David Icke's theory specifically. So the hydrogen was ripped off of Saturn, and then
Yeah.
Saturn went out. And then as Jupiter was like spinning around, it shot some hydrogen at Earth.
And that's where it created the reaction.
And that's why Earth has salt in their oceans, which doesn't make sense to me because there's no hydrogen in salt. It's just
It's calcium and
NaCl.
carbonate. It's calcium carbonate.
Yeah, what's Na? Salt?
Sodium.
No. Yeah, so it's sodium
Sodium
chloride. That's all
bicarbonate.
salt.
Sodium
Yeah.
chloride. Yeah.
So before all this happened, our solar system obviously had a different layout than it does now. Coincidentally, this is also before Jupiter ripped off Saturn's hydrogen. Mars had an atmosphere. And then we get to go to a peek back at one of our funnest episodes, the Alien War.
Alien
And
War.
so remember in that podcast, I covered how some alien species, seeing that humans who lived on Mars and Earth were going out and conquering parts of the universe, they set up something to hit Mars, like like a big comet or something, and
Yeah.
rip its atmosphere. So in this theory, they don't say that something hit Mars or that people were on Mars. They just say Mars had an atmosphere. And in the same situation where Jupiter ripped the hydrogen from Saturn, shot some to Earth, it also ripped the atmosphere off of Mars and it bled it into space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another rabbit hole I'm just avoiding.
Okay.
Just go listen to Alien War,
Alien War is the
previous podcast. It's a really fun one. And it's one of my favorite theories. And it's one of those theories you get to just tell people straight faced, and then they're like, I think this guy's fucking crazy. It's like,
Totally.
oh yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
And the funniest thing is every time someone asks me, they're like, are you into conspiracies? And I'm like, oh, what do you
describe into?
Do you want personally, I'm a conspiracy enthusiast, but do you want me to tell you a conspiracy theory that makes you think I'm weird and untrusting of the government? Or do you want me to tell you a conspiracy theory that makes you think I'm completely insane? Because I got both.
Because I got both. I got both on deck. You just tell me which one you want, and I will deliver.
And if the choice is small talk or wild conspiracy theories,
oh yeah, I know what you're going with.
Conspiracy theories every time.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Every time. Every time. So
yeah.
The occupants of Orion, the Draco system, which is where the reptilians come from.
And that was that whole Spider-Man thing I brought up to you a little bit.
Okay. So they see, this is annoying because one of the reasons I love talking about David Icke is because he's so batshit crazy. But the other thing is, since he's so batshit crazy, he changes his theories all the time.
Yeah.
And in one theory, he says that the Orions saw that Earth got hit by all this hydrogen and got effed up, so they came to Earth to take advantage of the situation. And in this other example, he talks about how they set it up on purpose. But anyways, so these reptilians from Orion, which in like the Sumerian texts and some other ones, they call them archons. They saw this cataclysm happen and knew what Earth could be. They created a device to put people in a closed system. That's the whole moon matrix thing.
Yeah.
These reptilians are four-dimensional and they feed off humans' low frequency, low vibes. They want to set up a system where they could feed off of us. And this is where we finally get to the moon that David Icke points out shouldn't be out there. So this is where we get to, like, there's this whole reptilian theory where I don't know if I should explain this full or okay, I'm going to keep going. And if I don't explain the whole thing. So anyways,
Okay.
that was all from the one podcast. Then I was like, okay, I got to get some fucking knowledge straight from the horse's mouth. I got to go into David Icke's. So I found a podcast where he was explaining what happened, and it was this YouTube video from 13 years ago. It's only 10 minutes long. You should listen to it. It's like he kind of skips around and it's so annoying, but it's called David Icke, The Truth About the Moon. And this is a quote from him. With the Earth's magnetic field the size of the Earth, it could easily not have a satellite. And if it did, it would be very small, 30 miles around. The moon right now is 2,160 miles around. I Googled it. It is bigger than Pluto, and some see it instead of Earth and a moon. They see it as a dual planet thing.
Okay.
So as for my tugboat moon, I talked about it in the last episode,
Yeah.
2 actual episodes ago, because I did an update episode last. David Icke says it's impossible for humans to hollow out a planetoid, but this is one of those rare situations where David Icke says something poignant.
Okay.
He goes, even though it's impossible for humans to do it, it's not impossible altogether because humans aren't at the cutting edge of possibility.
Right.
So one of the things you'll see when Dale comes up with these super good theories, people will be like, humans can't do that. It's like the pyramids. It's like they're impossible unless they're done by not humans.
Right.
Or humans had more
help from something. Yeah.
Or humans used to be better at stuff.
Right.
Which is
that's what's his name? Graham
Hancock.
Graham Hancock's theory was that there was like a prehistoric, like 10,000 years before
the Younger Dry Ice impact.
Yes.
Which Jeff,
I didn't mean to get you off topic. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you brought that up because you know what?
What?
That could have been the whole thing that fucking took all the hydrogen off of Jupiter, the Younger Dry Ice impact.
Oh, maybe.
Whatever caused the Younger Dry Ice impact, that could be what happened.
Oh my God. He's falling down the rabbit hole. Back to the notes. Back to the notes.
It's all red. It's all red yarn. It's all red yarn.
I'm gonna get my tinfoil hat from downstairs. I'm scared now. I'm scared. It's the picture of Charlie from Always Sunny with all the red tape and the cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. So, trusted scientist David Icke further explains when you move the moon closer to
scientist David Icke. Oh no. Okay. Kids, always cite your sources. Okay.
This is a direct quote from trusted scientist David Icke. That was a joke, by the way.
Boy. I know.
When you move the moon closer to the Earth, it affects everything from the speed of Earth's rotation to the angle of the axis that the Earth spins on. We have seasons because of this tilt. And I also did an episode where I talked about the precession of the equinox. I think that was in my second episode ever on the pyramids. Anyways, just Google precession of the equinox. There's probably a good YouTube video out there, or watch my whole episode again many times. Get me fame. Make
him famous. Make Dale famous.
Actually, don't make me famous. Just get me 1,000 subscribers so I can start making money on YouTube.
There we go.
That'd be nice. So if
I'm very close to that at work.
Are you?
Yeah,
that was fast. Good job, buddy.
Thanks, man. It turns out motorcycle content's interesting. The stuff that we're making.
People like motorcycles more than they like
Dale. They like conspiracy theories. Yeah, it's a wider audience. Let's just say that.
We should just do a motorcycle podcast.
There you go. That's what I'm literally doing that right now.
Oh, nice. If you ever need a guy who knows nothing about podcasts, hey,
we're at 981 subscribers.
Oh, nice. What's damn, that was fast.
Yeah.
What's the podcast?
Oh no, we're not doing a podcast. I was just kidding. We're doing video content. I'm sorry, I'm off topic.
No, that's fine.
I'm just all excited because we're so close.
Plug your channel.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
No,
It's
plug
my
it.
work channel one.
Yeah. Do you not
No, it's
want to
all
say
good.
where
Don't
you
worry about it.
work?
Yeah.
Or are you scared to say where you work?
I'm scared. No, I'm never. No, because I'm not scared to work. I
You
mean,
don't want people
David
walking
Icke
in.
is a noted anti-Semitist, so it's a little dodgy being on this podcast in this current climate.
Do
So
you not want people to go into your place of business and be like, "Where's that David Icke guy, Jeff?"
yeah, where's that associate Holocaust denier? It's not
Where's that
me.
trusted side? You're like,
The
that's
tr- the
exactly
tr-
why I don't want to say it, Dale.
the trusted
Okay.
scientist. Oh my god, please don't repeat that. Anyone, please no one repeat trusted scientist David Icke. That's not a real thing.
Okay.
Okay, back to the notes.
Back on track. Not getting Jeff fired.
Oh my
If
god.
you look at all these ancient accounts from all over the world, they talk about cataclysmic events
Yeah.
which ended the golden age, which I mentioned earlier, which ended a civilization, which could have been the end of Atlantis. Each cataclysm has the same checklist of events: massive earthquakes, great volcanic eruptions, and a massive tidal wave that turned the earth over. Well, the tidal wave didn't turn the earth over,
Yeah.
but I don't know if David Icke means that the whole earth spun or if the poles reversed, but
Right.
he said turned over. That might just be British
It's
sayings.
British slang. Yeah.
Maybe he didn't mean it got turned upside down, but whatever.
Yeah.
So this is annoying because before I was saying David Icke was saying that the people from Orion saw what happened to Earth with the cataclysm of Jupiter and then took advantage of it. And in this YouTube video, he says if you bring the moon to where it was now, it would totally change the angle of the axis and turn the Earth over. So he's alluding to that they brought the moon here to flip the Earth and cause the cataclysms on Earth.
Right.
And that's why David Icke's annoying. Anyways. So
Changing his shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it would create tremendous geographical impacts. Since the Earth is made up mostly of water, you would have a gigantic tidal wave from just the momentum of like stuff moving. It would be like when you're a kid and you squish around in the bathtub and then
Yeah.
it goes over the side and you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a bunch of tribal legends that describe some of this. And then there's one specifically that I don't know, I'd never heard anybody quote a Zulu legend until I started looking into this, and it's like they all quote the one Zulu legend. So, being a good podcaster, I went to Google it and it brought me to Gaia, which is a
Yeah.
site just full of totally true information that you should all read to make your lives better
Here we
and
go.
not recognize that it's complete bullshit and have a laugh at it. But anyways, so on the website, according to Zulu legend, our hollow moon was put in place by two brothers with scaly fish-like skin. The legend tells of Wawani and Mpanku, who brought the moon to Earth after stealing it from a great fire dragon. They are said to have emptied out the egg-like satellite of its yolk, subsequently placing it in orbit around the Earth. Prior to this, the planet was said to have been shrouded in a sheath of watery mist, which came raining down to Earth once the moon came into orbit. Some believe that this deluge,
Deluge.
sorry,
That's okay. You're good. You're on there.
deluge of
Deluge.
water may be a reference to the Great Flood that destroyed the antediluvian civilizations. The two brothers mentioned also bear similar characteristics to Enki and Enlil of ancient Sumerian lore, who was responsible for instituting the first civilizations of man and are often depicted wearing fish garb. Now, this would also go into the Graham Hancock thing because you could get
Yeah.
Quetzalcoatl because they were all like serpenty dudes.
Yeah.
And
That whole legend of the oh my god, the Aztecs is all very much
yeah.
like this. Yeah.
So this is interesting because it said that there was watery mist around the Earth. So that could have been the hydrogen that Jupiter
Ooh,
had ripped from
there we go.
Saturn and shot at us.
Yeah.
And then it combined with oxygen. Yeah, because hydrogen dioxide is water, H2O. So
H2O.
maybe the moon coming in, and I don't know how the moon would make all the water that was around Earth go to Earth,
I
but
still don't
it
understand
did.
that too. Like tidal moon pole, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't get any of that
Well,
stuff. I
it's
don't
like
understand
the
anything.
gravity of the moon
I guess
pulls the
the
water
water
off
around.
the,
Yeah.
like around the Earth, like if when the moon's going around. But if there was watery mist around the Earth
Yeah.
and the moon came in, you figure all the water would just get sucked to the moon,
Yeah.
unless the moon was pushing it or something. I don't know. Or it could be like it was getting sucked towards the moon. And then as the moon went around, like say this is the Earth and the moon's going around and the
Yeah.
water's following it, and maybe it falls
I guess.
once
Yeah.
like
Like
the
it.
moon goes away.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Like it's like the moon eclipses that side of the water and or the
Yeah.
land, and then it drops down. I guess
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. I can. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Doesn't
No one's
matter.
ever explained that to me before. There's a first for everything.
Yeah. Nobody explained how the all the hydrogen from Saturn
Correct.
fell to Earth to you, Jeff.
Never. This is
Well,
the first time anyone's ever explained this to me.
you're welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Dale. You're my
That's what
favorite.
I'm here for.
I know. That's why I'm here.
Okay, so they move
Learning.
in they move in the white sorry, they moon in they move
You all
I
right?
got stuck up.
You
I
okay
got
there?
stuck on moving moon.
Moving moon. That's
Reading,
it.
I was like
Alliteration.
it was like my brain just like it was like a CD skipping.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So they move the moon So they move the moon in and it wipes the slate of civilization that's on the planet before. Basically, they like wreck civilization. They cause the Great Flood. It drowns Atlantis. All the big civilization, all the big cities and shit that are on the edge of the ocean, they get drowned by all the hydrogen that came to Earth and made the sea levels rise. So when everything starts settling down, they start they being the reptilians
Yeah.
start rebuilding the target world in their image as a slave race
Uh-oh.
to them.
Yeah.
Since the earthlings vastly outnumber the reptilians of the human hybrid bloodline. See, this sucks because
Why?
just skipped to human hybrid. It's skipped how
From
human hybrids. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So I'm gonna have to backtrack and
All
add
right.
in a little. So what they're saying happened was the reptilians. One of the things about them being from the fourth dimension, we'll just say a different dimension
Sure,
because
different.
the fourth dimension is time.
Yeah.
They're not from time. They're from a different dimension, and they can only phase into our reality for a short amount of time because they don't have the energy and they feed off our low vibes, like I said before,
Yes.
and they need that to phase in. So what they did was I also talked about this in episode 1 when I was talking about Anunnaki and stuff. So
Yep.
the Sumerian myth of the Anunnaki, David Icke is replacing it with the reptilians came to Earth and they took some monkey people, like the whatever was humans before humans were humans. Like,
Yeah.
you know how there's the like humans and monkeys split off? There's like the missing link where we don't know. Basically, these people are saying that the missing link is aliens
Right.
because the aliens came and okay, remember how we were talking about the Bach saga when we're like,
Yes.
would the gorilla fuck the goat or would the goat fuck the gorilla?
I think the gorilla would fuck the goat.
But anyways, if we're making reptilian monkey people hybrids, who's on top?
Yeah. That's a more
And
difficult question because we're same shape.
which one's sexier?
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a tough call that I'm not willing to answer today on the
Yes. I don't know if they were like if that's perverted to be like which species bore the children. Like,
yeah.
did they probably did it with science. Okay, let's just be mature and pretend that they did it with test tubes and not their own dicks.
Okay.
Let's pretend there was no
Let's be
humping.
mature.
Like,
Anyway.
we're gonna be more mature than the Bible because the
Gotcha.
Bible says the angels came down and porked all the human women.
That's
But we're
true.
gonna say that the aliens came down, set up a nice little lab, maybe somewhere in Wuhan, China or something.
There we go. Yeah.
Just
That
kidding.
sounds about right.
Just I'm
Yeah.
not getting into that.
Don't even start.
So they
Don't
set up
even
this
start with that.
lab and then they like get a turkey baster and then they get like eggs from the ape people and then they squirt alien jizz on top. I don't know how science
Oh,
works. So
alien
maybe they
jizz on
just
top.
squirt it on like gravy on a meatball and then it just makes humans.
Like gravy on a
Human.
meatball. That
Oh
is
no, wait.
that's descriptive.
I just led you guys astray. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
They didn't interbreed with I'm so dumb. It's human alien hybrids. Oh, that's like when I talked about alien hybrids before. It's like they fuse the DNA or whatever to like, anyways, that supposedly was a reptilian aliens. Like, go listen to that other. That's
Yes.
fun. This episode is like a reference episode where I keep having to be like, go listen to our
Yeah, go
past
listen to the
episode.
previous podcast. Yeah,
So, anyways, I just made all those jokes for no reason. They
that's
didn't
okay.
come have sex with ape people. They came and had sex with aliens, or sorry, test tubey stuff. But what they did was they made reptilian human hybrids so that they could use them to run the earth for their means. Plus, they wouldn't have to like phase in and out, and they could stay in our reality longer. This is what,
Right.
and one of the best examples of this is like the the Royals, whatever their family's called. I just blanked on it.
The Windsors.
Yeah, the Windsors. So that's a hill. I like how I just spent 10 minutes explaining the absolute wrong thing just so I could make bad dink jokes. So
That's commitment to the bit. That's what that's called. Yeah. Commitment to
and
the bit.
the funny thing was, remember when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were pregnant and having a baby?
Yes.
And
Vaguely.
she did that interview with Oprah and she was like, they were asking me how black the baby was going to be.
Wow.
The real theory is they weren't asking about the race of the baby. They were going to ask if the reptilian bloodline would be too diluted with her
Oh boy.
sorry, plain ass human body
Wow.
because Harry is a hybrid. And
Yeah.
that's also why the
Winston. Windsors.
Windsors. That's why the Windsors all marry their cousins,
Oh my god.
so
They
that
keep the bloodline pure.
yeah, their hybrid reptilian human bloodline could stay thick.
Oh my god,
Keep the
gross. Why would you
bloodline
say it like
thick.
that?
Keep the bloodline. You got to have thick gravy on that meatball, brother.
Oh my god, he went there. He made thick gravy on the meatball. Oh, I'm never eating at IKEA again. Uh,
Yeah.
ruined,
So
ruined.
he just says that like the reason that this is all done in secret and they don't just like come out to us and be like, we're your overlords, is because we far outnumber them because they came in the moon and there's only like a bunch of them.
I came in the moon.
So David Icke's theory, now let's go back to,
Yeah.
so David Icke's theory about the matrix or whatever, or how they're manipulating us, is the rings around Saturn are a generator. They broadcast us like a signal,
Yeah.
and that world locks us in, or that locks us in or whatever. So the broadcast signal comes from Orion to Saturn's rings and then is bounced off our moon and locks us in the matrix world. This was the thing I didn't want to talk about. Like
Right.
his basic theory is that's how it like it affects our brain, so it affects what we see.
Right.
I don't like that part of the theory, so it's my podcast. I'm just throwing
You can
that
do what
out.
you want. I do what I
I'm
want.
saying that this signal just like makes us feel bad, and this is
Yeah.
what makes us feel angry. So it's like when you see like tribalism and how like there's all this like troll jobs on the internet trying to make us fight with each other and like on purpose picking fights. That's all the reptilians, baby.
Stupid reptilians. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let me see. Sorry, I'm just
No,
looking
it's
through my
okay.
notes. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so that's so the signal. I don't know. It's like so confusing to like. This is also why I hate doing like giant subjects like this
Yeah, because
because
it's a lot to tackle and without any backstory. And if somebody hasn't listened to it before, they don't know,
yeah,
right?
well that and what like David Icke can't even stay on the same, like he's
Yeah, he
changed his
can't
mind
stay on the
about
same
everything.
Yeah,
So it's like
totally.
for me to say his theory on everything, but basically it's like, yeah, you have these reptilians who are trying to like keep us bad. So they're like, this is where you get into all the occultism and all the magic and all the sigil magic and all that. So I'm going to read through the rest of my notes.
Yep.
Yeah. So the people coming from the reptilians coming from Orion is why the pyramids are in the same layout as the stars in Orion's belt.
Right.
Um, when I was talking about the earth flipping or whatever, that was the ice age that happened on like immediately or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned it before, his evidence that he talks about is also all the evidence from the Hunger Dryas impact.
Yeah.
Um, so the Babylonians flood myth and all that stuff, like the the blood or the flood in the Bible and
Yeah.
everything, was that what we're talking about? What was the Epic of Gilgamesh? Yeah, sorry.
Right. Okay.
Um, okay, another interesting thing about this is reincarnation only really became was really introduced into our like history 3,000 years ago. And David Icke says this is because our energy is in a closed system and it is recycled again and again into different flesh bodies, which allows the reptilians to have a steady supply of negative energy. So, this
Right.
other thing that he just adds to this theory is that our souls, when they leave our body, they go to the moon and then they're shot back down to earth into like a meat body. And I think what he's saying is it's like they're gardeners, so they grow our bodies in this like matrix, and then once we die, they our souls go up, and then they shoot it back down into another
So the
body they grew in a pod or whatever.
repopulating the flesh
Yeah.
bags. Yes.
And then 4000 BC, a new psyche emerged. The reptilians reduced our right brain power and we became left brain dominant. So instead of focusing on our feelings, we focus on facts and knowledge. This could be why, in our recent past, strict teachers would punish students who use their left hand to write. One
Yeah.
theory I heard about this is that we are predominantly right handed as a species because of selective breeding way back when, and like how like way back when people were left-handed, they used to kill them.
Yeah.
So it was like they were trying to get us all to be
To be
right-handed.
right-handed.
And one of the theories of the reptilians is that's because then we live in our left brain, because like your limbs correspond with the
To
opposite
the
side of your
opposite side of
brain.
your brain.
I
Yeah.
don't know why that is. I'm not a scientist. David Icke's a scientist and he doesn't know. So,
Trusted scientist David Icke.
yes.
Yeah.
So if like I heard about this in this other book too, some like weird occult history book, which was fucking 20-30 hours long of an ebook, and I can't remember, but I just remember them talking about how if you make us all be right-handed, then the left side of our brain, which is the knowledge, facts, and not, it's basically like Klingons versus Vulcans. That's how I like to say it. Like
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
the left brain is the Vulcans, the right brain is the Klingons. Because
War smash art.
yeah, Klingons are all just pure emotion.
Yeah.
Balkans are all pure logic.
Logic.
So these reptilians, through like killing left-handed people, getting like school marms to slap kids who wrote with their left hand, they basically got it so that our left brain was just lit up more because it corresponds to us using our right hand more.
Yeah.
And then that's like a lower frequency vibration, because we're not like feeling good and hot and stuff. We're like thinking cold and
Yeah.
cool, and they like it on the lower end. Um, yeah. So Norman Brueggen, which is a NASA scientist who studied Saturn's rings heavily, it was thought that the rings were 100 million years old. That's just what scientists, they're like, that's how old they are.
Yeah.
He saw the rings of Saturn were changing every few minutes and they didn't make sense. Mathematically, the rings should spin and eventually get sucked into Saturn instead of just staying rings as like a complex, stable system. So he like, I guess he like looks at all these pictures that they took with one of the satellites. I think it was the Voyager. Is
Yeah.
that right? Or is that,
Voyager.
or am I missing?
No, what you mean the current one?
No, the one that they shot that just kind of went out in space. I don't know if it
Yeah,
was a
the
Voyager.
Voyager.
Okay. I was like trying to make sure that I wasn't just talking about Star Trek by accident.
No, the
So
Voyager
anyway,
satellite. Or is it there's the rover? Hold
Rover,
on, now I'm
no,
looking it up.
Rover's the one that's driving around on Mars.
On
That's just,
Mars.
yeah. I think it
Voyager
was the
2.
Voyager.
It's the
Yeah,
yeah, it's just floating around.
yeah. So it sent back all these pictures of Saturn's moon. So this guy just gets like a little lupe, whatever those are called, and looks at these pictures, and he says that the rings of Saturn are changing every few minutes, I guess, because he's looking at pictures taken a few minutes apart.
Yeah.
And that didn't make sense. Um, like I said, they should get sucked in. He said he even saw structures which we now refer to as spokes and braids. Bruggen said they appeared to be vehicles which produced an exhaust type or product going around Saturn, and that is actually what is keeping the rings from collapsing. Now, I didn't have time to look up if Bruggen is certifiably insane or not,
Insane. Yeah.
but like let's just agree that he looked really hard at the rings of Saturn and that there's like some sort of structure to them. Like there's the rings, then there's spokes going up and down.
Yeah.
And then maybe he saw like things traveling back and forth, and it's like some sort of machinery to keep them running. Also to shoot a message over here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So Ike believes these are the tools that are producing the broadcast system that is being bounced off the moon and locking our brains into the matrix simulation. This is yeah, so this is the annoying part because Ike first stated that the signal was coming from Orion's belt, but then makes it sound like the machines in Saturn's rings are actually creating the signal or just being a relay instead of just being a relay system. So I had to like come up with a like fucking mind cannon it to make sense. So if the
Yeah.
rings were just bouncing signals from Orion, then would the moon not need rings to bounce the signal to Earth? But so I started thinking about it like Saturn is the amplifier and the moon is the speaker.
Right.
So you have the signal coming from Orion to Jupiter or to Saturn, and then the rings kind of like make it a way stronger, and then they shoot it to um Earth or to the moon, which is kind of like the speaker. So it's like a sound system
Yeah.
where it's like if you use a sound system without an amplifier, then it's like not
It
amplified. It's
doesn't
super
work. Yeah. It
quiet and
doesn't. Yeah.
poopy. Yeah.
Gets frappy really quickly at high volumes.
Yeah. There you go. So Ike apparently had a sound engineer look at the rings, and he said that they were a manifestation of sound, and that's called somatics. Like, you know, like you probably all saw the YouTube video or the TikTok video where you have like a black table with like sand on it, and then they play a note, and it like,
Yeah. And it like, yeah, it
yeah, it
vibrates.
vibrates into like a mandala shape or
Yeah.
whatever.
Totally.
Mandela, oh, whatever.
Mandala.
Yeah, mandala. There you go. A circle with lots of patterns
Not a
that
Mandela.
repeats.
That's
Yeah,
Nelson Mandela. It's a mandala.
yeah. He was saying, so he's saying like the higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern. So he's
Right.
saying the pattern that's in Saturn's ring is super high
Saturn
frequency.
pattern.
Yeah. So the moon bounces each frequency onto Earth, and we see as a visual frequency. So that's like more. So yeah. And then any questions so far? I'm almost done my notes.
No, man, that's good. It's so far so good.
Okay, so the rest is just like just a couple like stuff talking about like hexagons and stuff. So yeah, so basically to reiterate, signals come from like sorry that I said I wasn't going to talk about the matrix and I kept bringing up the matrix
We knew you were
because
going to have to bring it. You had to use, you needed it for clarification purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So the way I look at it is the signal and stuff still works,
Yeah,
but it's not like a frequency's hitting our mind and we're like seeing the earth around us and we're actually just like lumps in a pod, because then how would we feel stuff? Like it doesn't make sense to me. But to me, it's just they're shooting a thing and it's shooting to us, and it's just like kind of making us feel bad.
right.
Like, and how, like, yeah. So that's what I see it as.
So you say, when you say it feels bad, you're talking about like it makes us kind of complacent, sort of thing. Not necessarily feels bad. Why? Because like I mean, there's days where I don't feel bad. There's obviously days I do feel bad, but like that general malaise feel of like complacency and
don't
boredom.
poke holes in David Icke's
I'm poking
theories.
holes in you.
No, so basically what it is, and fuck, there was this other thing that they were talking about, like the visual spectrum, that I didn't want to get into because it's too annoying. But
Okay.
it's a good
Because
example of
you don't
how this works.
understand visual
Like,
spectrums.
yeah, they were talking about the visual spectrum, like how
Yeah.
it makes like the matrix work or whatever. But I'm gonna use it as, so our what we see is in the spectrum of light. Humans can only see a certain bandwidth of it,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
But it's bigger. Like above that, at higher visual frequency is X-rays and stuff,
Yeah.
and below that is microwaves.
I think so. I want to say, yeah,
Anyways,
it's that, like what the predator sees, heat,
yeah.
heat
So, oh
vision,
yeah, infrared.
infrared. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
the way it works, so to think about this is, we think about it in an emotion sense. We're like here.
Yeah.
Did you just?
What is it? What's happening over there? It's a part of your
There's a,
wall.
dude, I just got so scared. That's
That
just,
was weird.
there's a
Motion
picture
sense. Yeah. I
there's a
was gonna say
picture
that
on
has to
my
be a
wall
background.
and it breaks with the, I thought it was a face for like a hot second.
You
I was
okay?
like, the
You all right?
reptilians are here.
Do you need a sec? Are you
Dude,
okay?
dude, my heart is racing. I seriously, like, like, look, like it's just a picture on the wall. I think
Yeah,
it's
but it
like,
looked like somebody was behind you.
yeah,
It's
it's
on the
like,
other side.
yeah,
It's on
it's a,
your other side, your other hand.
it's on both, but the
Oh,
one that
okay.
was on this side, it's like a unicorn picture
Yeah,
because
and it
my,
showed up when your hand came up into the
yeah,
frame.
and I
Yeah.
didn't understand what happened, and I thought it was a reptilian face, and I, for
It,
like a fraction of a second, I was so unbelievably scared.
it's like
Anyways,
it's like this piece of my headset that keeps appearing and disappearing in the background.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
actually, what I'm
every
gonna
once in a while it
do
flashes, and I'm like, "Oh God, what is that?
here,
Does it
this
have a
is what
bug
I'm
on
gonna
my ear?"
do. I'm gonna take off my background effect.
And show everybody the unit.
There.
There it is. Yeah, it's that one eye just glaring at you, right?
So
Yeah,
like, there's my daughter's change table.
yeah,
There's my daughter's unicorn picture on the wall. Then there's roses.
yeah.
There's a
That was
giant
the other
rose
one. That was
behind
the
my
one that
head.
I
Yeah.
saw when you did this, and the rose came
So
up.
as you could see, it's like the least tough thing ever. It's just a
And Dale got
unicorn.
scaredy
It's
wearedy.
just a picture of a unicorn,
Yeah.
the most majestical and pure thing ever. And I got scared because
And
I thought it
Dale,
was
it
a
made Dale
reptilian.
pee his pants a little bit.
Yeah. So,
A little bit
anyways,
of
to go
pee.
back to my analogy before I scared myself, is just like our ability to see on a spectrum, we have like the emotional, like we're in this. Anyway, basically,
Yeah,
sorry, it's like aliens, the reptilians want us to be below. My daughter's banging on the door again.
I can hear banging.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to take another baby break. I just opened the door and the naked baby fell in.
Oh yeah, that happens. Yeah, we've had that before. We in our house we called that a code peach when we had a naked baby running around the house. Code peach, code peach. We got a wild one.
Yeah, she had just had a bath and Andrea was draining the bathtub, and then she put her in the
She
living
escaped.
room,
Yeah,
and then she heard my voice through the door, and then she walked up, and then when I said, "Oh, we got a baby break," she was like, "Bang!" on the door. Okay,
that's
so
awesome.
I got to wrap it up
That's fine,
because
man. That's cool.
baby.
I'm exhausted.
Oh
I need to
yeah,
go sit on the couch.
I'm very glad you let me entertain me this far. So
Oh
I'm
man,
not going to go
I'm
into
here
any
for you.
signals or anything. I'm going to finish the thought I had on the
Yeah,
frequency.
do that.
So basically what it is we exist in this emotional frequency or whatever, or fuck, I don't know, I'm getting all my things all messed up. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, you'd have to ask David Icke specifically,
And he might change his
when
thoughts.
we're at like, when you're like not Saturn, like when you're happy you're up here
Yeah,
because it's all vibration, so our regular vibrations is here. When we're happy we're up here, and when we're sad we're down here. The aliens, for whatever reason, they can feed off of our energy, but only if it's down here. So
so they want to
that's,
keep us sad
yeah,
at that
so they want
level
to
because
keep us
that's the
sad.
vibration that nourishes them.
Yeah. And the
Gotcha.
thing that doesn't
That all
make
fruit comes to
sense to
fruition.
me, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is, I get how being sad would have you in the lower one,
Yeah,
but they talk about wanting to keep us angry and fighting with each other. But once we're angry, wouldn't we be above because we're all like hot
yeah.
and agitated?
So that would be a higher vibration.
Yeah. Because
But what's the
like the
net result
Klingons,
of war?
death and
Sadness,
sadness.
loss of loved ones,
There you
back down,
go.
right?
So if World War III starts, It was the
It
reptilians.
was the reptilians. Yeah,
It was the reptilians.
totally.
Any questions before I let you go?
No, man, I think that was good. You
Mm-hmm.
got through that. I like it when you make notes and when you don't read from Wikipedia directly. It makes
Yeah.
it more fun. No, that's awesome. That was good. I
Thank
think I
you.
get it. Do I
Nice.
believe you? Full of horse shit. Absolutely full of
Oh,
horse shit.
Jeffy, I didn't convert
But
you.
no, it didn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. It doesn't even hurt a
Okay.
little bit.
Oh, I do want to say, like, that just made me think of it. Like, people are like, do you believe this stuff? And the answer is no. Most of the time, no. But it's just like watching a Marvel movie. It's
Yeah.
more entertaining if you're just like,
Yeah. Suspension of disbelief.
this is actually happening.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't believe Thor can shoot lightning bolts,
I don't
but I'm
believe the
not going to
Hulk is
be,
that big,
yeah,
but it's fun to watch. Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
fun
going
to
to
watch
be
him
Neil
whip a
deGrasse
car through the air.
Tyson and be like, there's no way that Thor
Yeah.
could shoot lightning bolts. He doesn't have the proper
There are
conductivity in his
limitations.
hammer, blah, blah, blah.
There are
It's
limitations
just,
on the size a human
yeah,
being can grow.
it's just more funny when you're like, Brie Larson can fly,
Yeah,
and she is awesome, and I
yeah,
love this movie.
yeah,
And
totally.
Cyclops just shoots stuff out of his eyes.
Lasers out of his eyes. Suspension of
Side note,
disbelief.
side note, the most depressing thing ever happened. I read somewhere that Cyclops doesn't shoot laser beams out of his eyes. His eyes are a portal to another dimension, and he just lets that dimension in. And I don't
What?
understand. That's the dumbest thing ever.
I
And
don't
I
know
hope
enough
it's
about
not
comic
true.
books. I don't know because that would be stupid because it's laser beams. We
I
all know it's
hope
laser beams.
I hope I read the wrong thing.
He
And
has the
that was
goggles
just,
to focus the laser beams
yeah,
properly so they don't go everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my take on it, man.
That's it.
Yeah.
We can
Okay.
end now.
Good night, everyone.
I gotta go. I got a baby to hug.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm gonna go hug my big giant child. Let's see if
Yeah,
he'll
there you
give me a
go.
hug. Cool.
He's less of a baby. Oh,
Yeah.
I almost completely forgot.
What?
You know how I was talking about how the aliens want us in the left brain
Yeah.
and we're all right-handed. So to fight the reptilian aliens, jerk off with your left hand.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah. All right. I'm going to take that under advisement.
Because
Those vibrations and frequency, they can't feed off of that. Yes. I'm too happy right now. This is good. Yeah. Aliens aren't going to get me if I keep doing this.
Yeah. Ooh, art.
Yeah.
Feelings.
Oh, God, it feels so good.
Yeah. Whenever I jerk off with my right hand, I'm like math and science.
Yeah,
boring.
Totally. Yeah, boring. If I do this for 5 minutes at 18 strokes per minute, I'm